Welcome to EI Cafe with Azim, in which he reflects on key aspects of life and business through the lens of emotional intelligence. You will learn how emotional intelligence can be used for your success in both personal and professional lives. The podcasts cover topics on leadership, collaboration, culture, building a positive mindset, and even raising kids. You will hear key life lessons and tips from the most prominent personalities, business leaders, entrepreneurs, EI practitioners, and executive coaches from around the world. So sit back, relax with a cup of coffee as we get into today's show, EI Cafe with Azim.
In a world that often emphasizes serious pursuits, we are here to unravel the transformative power of play in fostering innovation and driving personal and professional growth. Join us in this particular episode as we dive into a vibrant intersection of creativity, imagination, playfulness, discovering how embracing a lighthearted approach can unlock new perspectives, enhance problem-solving skills, and propel individuals and organizations toward unprecedented level of success. So, get ready to tap into the joy of play and unleash the boundless potential it holds for creativity and growth. A very warm welcome to the EI Cafe with Azim. I'm your host, M. Azim Sahir, human capital specialist, Lego Series Play Facilitator, ICF accredited PCC level coach, an emotionally intelligent and emotional culture tech practitioner. I'm one of the lead facilitator with Lumini Learning Solution. You heard the topic, you heard the introduction, and we are going to talk about playfulness. To have this conversation, I have a connection who really connected through LinkedIn, and I've been following her for a long time. And let me welcome Yesim Kunter, playful expert and futurist.
Thank you very much for this great invitation. I'm very excited to have this discussion about play and playfulness.
Right, yes, thank you very much for your valuable time. And we're going to spend about 30 minutes of your valuable time and talk about something really, fun and being playfulness, right? Yes, when, as I mentioned, I'm a Lego series player, right? When we go with the Legos and like people, adults becomes kids when they see that. Right, so when I asked, like, when did you play last, like, it's some time ago. So playfulness has been a really downplayed under topic, has been in this part of the world. So I thought of why we don't talk about playfulness and why it's important. So that's what you are here, SM. So start off with it, right? Let's talk about playfulness itself. Can you bring the context of playfulness and what is this play we are talking, and how this playfulness a role plays in our life? What's your thought?
Okay, I think it will be great to talk about play a bit, and what does it really, what does it actually talk about? And play is, in my definition, is really about making connections. But before I say that, it is really important to understand that in play we see so many different elements of what it creates play, and that's kind of like a being curious.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about actually any living thing would do that. They start to become very curious. They pay attention, and then they are feeling free to explore. Even though if they are in rigid situations, they are going to kind of push the and they try to go and explore. And by doing that, I'm talking about not just within a community, I'm talking about within yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like by doing those kind of challenges, going through all of them, being curious and trying and establishing, you are actually connecting, first of all, with yourself. And at the same time, in parallel to that, it also happens to you connect with the outside and whoever it is, the environment, the people, the living thing, and all the other things that kind of comes within that. And at the end, you are engaging. So in play, it's a whole, I mean, I probably started from the development of play, but also the development of playfulness. So it can happen within a couple of seconds, or it can happen in a couple of hours, as you know.
Okay.
So within the seconds of being playful, I think it is the time when play becomes an action. And it is almost like a mindful action. So you are doing it mindfully, intellectually, physically, emotionally. You are connecting. And you are finding tools within yourself to create and develop that playful mindset, so that it takes you to a different position than where you were before you have done it.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding, when you say it like you're being focused, you're being very mindful what they're doing it, and your concentration is more there. So it doesn't mean that when playfulness there it's there, your productivity also can be increased in self-productivity.
Yeah, totally. It's actually because you are engaged fully and deeply, you are learning. You are not doing it with in your mind that there's a result expectation. You are being in the process.
Yeah.
So you are actually deeply making that learning happening.
Right.
And you are, like, for example, very simple example, and I think I'm just going to give it from animal kingdom, like dolphins. You know, they are very playful animals, and what they do is usually within their own group, they make bubbles, for example, and they are kind of engrossed within that kind of mindset. They are kind of like playing, but they are also exploring.
Right.
And when you are having fun, you are deeply exploring, right? It's kind of like without you know it, you are actually learning it.
So you said one of my favorite words now, fun. So playfulness bring fun, or playfulness can bring stress also. What do you think?
Oh wow, playfulness, I think it can be in many ways. So it's kind of like yes, there's always some kind of a fun, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be a fun result, because there are different types of playfulness, which we can also talk about darker side of the playfulness. You know, you might be playing with your own the fears, for example. You might be playing with your it's basically, I think I would say, it is a way to free your mind. So it takes the time being stuck or being obsessed with something, but you are actually giving an expansion and a space to your mind and the time to actually be more actively searching for new ways of engaging with it.
Fantastic, Yesim. Yesim, before I go to my next question, to better clarity for our listeners and viewers, right? Would you mind throwing us at a couple of what sort of a playful activity we are talking about? Because my next question is going to connecting to corporates. So when you say playfulness, is it playing a Monopoly? Is it playing? I don't know. I'm just thinking loud. What the playfulness sort of thing would you talking about?
Oh, I'm talking about playfulness in the context of ideas, for example,
right,
or in the context of understanding certain concepts. So, of course, it can take in the form of playing a game. If there's a game and you are actually playing the game. However, I wouldn't say I would go more in the direction of playing with your imagination, because there's more freedom in it. And I would choose less gamification. I would be very careful in that. I think I kind of like it, playfulness, to be more free. But of course, there's always a part of it which can take in the form of more rule-based playfulness, let's say,
Nice.
which is gamification.
Right.
But in the context of a corporate environment, playfulness is more about taking a problem or taking a kind of like idea and deconstructing it and going deeper in the concept and almost like taking it into different elements. So let's say I'm talking about education, right? I'm in the company of a corporate environment which is dealing with educational products, let's say.
Right.
And we are going to be designing a product for early years, right? Okay. Then the playful mind will go and seek for many different ways of education rather than just being stuck with standard education system, for example.
Okay.
So you will be going and being open to many ways of however it has been done in the history and being excited about it, like being, genuinely interested in how people did certain things and then almost questioning what is really education, what are these age groups are doing, and playing with these ideas rather than doing it. We have done this all the time like this, and I'm going to do it in this same way. So playfulness gives you the freedom to be curious about the subject, even though you know it.
Super. I think that makes a lot of sense in the context of playfulness. Now, the question for me is, how do you bring this context into a workplace environment? How do we do this? Because why I'm asking is, Yesim, like, when you go to say leaders, like, playfulness is important, they said, like, we are doing a serious business, we need serious minds, not playful mind here. Right?
Yes.
So how do you bring that to context?
I think it's if you want to talk about it, it's to the, let's say, to the company who is very conservative, let's say, and they have done and they have a very rigid society within them, and they would look at play as just a frivolous kind of subject and not interested in it, let's say. You wouldn't go and tell them that you should be playful, because I don't think it will be easy to understand. I think you need to put them into action. The minute you show, like I have in the past, I have taught innovation and creativity course, and my company, the company that I was working with, is very conservative, and they were really conservative. And what I did, and they told me not to bring any kind of playful materials into the course. And I'm like, okay, I understand that I'm going to teach innovation in the standard way, how we would be teaching. But of course, I'm interested into art and different things to bring in innovation and revolutionary kind of artists. You start to talk about, let's say, Jackson Pollock, and you talk about, all these scribbles and all these things. The minute you start to make people laugh and have fun with the subject, and even doubt about themselves and make fun about themselves, I think you are bringing in playfulness in it.
Okay.
And the minute this conservative environment, the minute they start to be open to be vulnerable about themselves, and even just laughing, as I said, and they are actually starting to come up with new ideas and what it might mean, even though it's not going to hurt them, because at the end, it's actually it's a subject that has nothing to do with them. So it's easier to make it work. So that was my way of slowly getting them into the playful mind, to show it what it really means. And the minute they accept it, then it was easier for them to really take serious subjects and playfully think about them.
At Parent Thrive, we embrace parenthood together. Join us to navigate the joys and challenges of raising children through connecting with the community. As parents, we connect. As parents, we share. As parents, we learn and grow. Join us at Parent Thrive to start your empowered journey towards parenting.
I think that's one of the best approach, where that experiencing the playfulness can really help us to get into the context of workplace. Yeah,
exactly, because I think it's really hard. I mean, like, it's a very, how can I say, it's a very hard subject to say, like, oh, be playful today. Like, if I say to myself, even though I know the subject really well, right?
Yeah,
I cannot be, if I'm feeling a bit down, or if I'm like very serious that day, I don't know what it means for me to be playful.
Yeah.
So you need, it's not about talking about the subject. Okay, understanding what it means is important, but instead of asking for it, I think putting it into action slowly is the one which builds it up.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that, Yesim. I think it's important that to understand how you can't push certain things to the corporate context or workplace. It need to be a step-by-step approach. On that note, Yesim, my next question is, we always talk about innovation, growth, creativity piece. When it comes to problem solving, right? How this playful mindset can really positively impact in problem solving? Because we see the world is changing very often. We see like the corporate is very changing, the market dynamics is changing. So every organization go through this particular process. But my question for you is, in what ways that playful mindset positively can impact problem solving and innovation within the organization?
First of all, I mean, playful mindset is almost like a lifestyle. I think it's a mindset of people. Like, it's actually enhances the growth mindset within the environment, or corporate environment, because especially in the corporate environment, we became very much used to doing things. There's always systems. There's always a way of doing things. I'm going to talk about two things, actually. One is mentally, the other one is physically. How do you actually create the environment? The mentally part is, I guess, giving the permission to be able to be curious, and almost like sharing with the community of that company that there are different things, inspirational things are happening, and even making people share with each other. Like, even it can be a theater, the movie they have seen, talking about things that is actually making them excited. Or creating events that actually makes them think. For example, like inviting speakers who are going to be making them question about certain subjects, because playfulness doesn't happen without anything. It's not something that you take it as a pill and you will be fine next day. You really have to create the environment, right? You have to create the setting for it. You need to have all these kind of, like, environment wise, you want things that is going to make people to almost tickle their mind. Like, it makes them like, oh my God, how is that actually working? So you are creating a muscle, actually playful muscle. So when a really serious subject comes in, because you are already accustomed to think like that, then it becomes easier for those people to come up with open-minded and understanding the subject deeper, like being curious about it, because you are not anymore just thinking in one only way. You know now how to use it.
Right. So, Yesim, you mentioned about creating that environment. Are we talking about a psychological safety environment by any chance here?
Psychological safety environment. I mean, yes, we can say that, but I mean, it's a very tricky. I think it is more, for me, environment-wise. I think you need to bring in. Yes, it can be well-being as well, like making some kind of a well-being stuff going on, and yes, creating an atmosphere that is supporting your employees. But also, I am more thinking, for example, the office design. like the colors you are using in the wall, for example,
Mm.
or the chairs that you have brought in. Like, is it completely black and totally dull, or is it kind of like are there any kind of glimpses of different things are happening? Of course, it depends on from business to business.
Okay.
But and also the layout of the place. If the layout is actually making them feel more organic, or is it more direct? Because every design will impact the behavior of people. It's going to impact the way you think anyway.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and that's something new I just learned, right? How the mindset's going to be really playful when your interior design and the layout of the building can really trigger certain things. That's really amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now, how can leaders encourage a culture of playfulness while maintaining the focus on the productivity and professional goals? Because we discussed this before, like, yes, it's a serious business, right? Okay, we are going to bring the playfulness, because human mind, right? It's like a monkey mind, jumping here and there, right? When you come to playfulness.
Yeah.
But how can leaders encourage such cultures of playfulness while maintaining the focus of productivity and professional goals?
Well, I think it's really important to understand that there's a process, and the process is really important. If we are only end results oriented, then it becomes really hard, and it actually adds lots of stress to people.
Mm-hmm.
So from the leadership perspective, I think you need to give some kind of space for jumping. What I mean by that is you need to understand and believe in the process. So if the leader is actually believing in the process, then the playful mind is going to be free to do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
And they are going to go into a better productivity for that reason. Because if you are actually asking, for example, what is the end result? What is the end result? I want to see the numbers, and that's it, and that's all they care. Then what happens for the employee side is they are going to be like always trying to please your leader. Like, you are trying to please what they ask for you. Correct. And you are only also looking at what has been done before without questioning, which is deadly, because life and the world is changing, and it's actually right now even more changing. So the minute you actually create an environment that's only expecting, and you think that you are the best of the best, and you are dictating your leadership, you are actually killing that playfulness. So I guess the playfulness part needs to be understood, that you really need to also appreciate and give space to the process of the innovation. It's because it's super needed.
I think that's very much important to understand, that give that space for people to really explore and come up with various new things. Yes, that playfulness matters. Guessing before we have 5 more minutes left for the conversation. I'm just curious to know any particular person you have examples, or you have experienced such playfulness has been really transformed into innovation and creativity in terms of achieving their growth. Anything you have in mind, just share?
Yes. I'm just thinking all of a sudden. I guess all the I mean, the easiest one is Einstein, probably, because he probably had a super playful mind. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to come out with all these amazing theories that, if you were to be following just what is in front of you. The people who have been, like all these huge companies, before they started, I think their leader all have their kind of playful mind. I just recently watched the BlackBerry, for example. At the beginning, their founders, they were very playful people. Amazingly, it's kind of like they were trying to understand how a system can work and finding better, making it so much better. And the environment, where you watch the movie, you see that it's a very playful environment. They are kind of like kids.
Yeah.
But I don't mean that it's a bad way. There are kids by heart, so that they are still exploring, still not taking everything just by what is called, and they are there to find out new ways. It's just, I think there these kind of like examples, or I mean artists, for example, like Jackson Pollock, for example. I find his artwork super playful. I mean, it's all about exploration of new ways of communicating with outside world, and that's the most powerful thing, I think, to be able to do that.
Yes, and just you you triggered me something while you're just talking, right? You talk about mind of a child, right? Kids. How come parenting and teaching can really evolve with this playfulness?
Oh, nice. Well,
I'm sorry for diverting it. You just popped up something on my mind.
That's no problem. That's a really good question, because first of all, I think they need to, as personally, I mean the parents, they need to be playful themselves or with each other to be able to bring that playfulness to their children. And what I mean by that is, if you see your dad, let's say, making a very smart joke and playing with kind of juxtapositions and asking you interesting questions for you to wonder, then as a child, you are going to learn how to look at the world from a curious mind. If you are a person who is reading lots of books and talking about them with enthusiasm and all of that, that playful interaction with your intellectuality is going to transfer to your child. It has to come from the parents to find their own playfulness. I don't say everybody has to go into this kind of a playfulness. I think everybody has their own playful language.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So,
you're welcome.
We are getting ready for our rapid fire question series. Are you ready? All right, let's get started. Your first question. What's one unconventional playful activity you believe can honestly boost team creativity?
Unconventional. Oh, okay. I can definitely say it. It's fortune readings. What I mean by that is it's not like a fortune reading as it's more like looking. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm more talking about looking at stains and making up stories. It's amazing how to open up imagination.
Right. Super. Thank you. Your next question. In 3 words, describe the role of playfulness in fostering innovation. 3 words.
Oh God, I'm so excited now. Okay, 3 words. Opening, being okay with vulnerability, super curiosity,
right,
and engaging.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Your next question. Share a quick tip for individuals looking to inject more playfulness into their daily routine. Just one.
Please do more of what makes you really happy. I think that will bring more playfulness.
Fantastic. And your last one for the day. If creativity had a favorite game, what would it be and how can it incorporate it in professional setting?
If creativity had a one
favorite game, favorite game,
yeah. Any game.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh my God, this is the one. I think these questions are great. That's the game, like giving like quick questions, quick answers. I think that will bring lots of playfulness because it fires up your mind, right? You are kind of getting excited.
Yeah.
So I think those question cards are the best. Like quick question.
All right. There we go. That's the end of the rapid round fire. And at the same time, that's the end of our conversation for today. And, my key takeaway is what you said. Yes, I'm like, it can be even the interior, the direction, the layout of the organization building can really bring that playfulness. So thank you very much for, giving such valuable information to us and our audience. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the time what we have for today. I would like to thank Yesim Kunter, a play expert and futurist, who just spent her valuable time with me talking about playfulness. Of course, you can get connected to Yesim through her LinkedIn profile. Very much some solid content available. Please do connect. At the same time, you can log into www.yesimkunter.com. I'll put all the podcast, other details on the podcast notes so you can really access it. On that note, Yesim, thank you very much for bringing a little bit of playfulness into the conversation and exploring playfulness.
I thank you very much. That was a very playful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for joining yet another successful episode of EI Cafe with Azim. We appreciate your time and invite you to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss out on the next episode. Write a review and even rate it if you please. You can also follow Azim Sahir on social media. We would also love to hear from you on what topics you'd like us to cover and even who you'd like us to invite to the show. We wish you well until we meet again on another episode of EI Cafe with Azim.